All right, good afternoon, or perhaps morning for some of you. We have game two, which I should mark here. MrByer won game one. Game two of a no logic double rods tournament race. Just a little last minute setup here going on. Evening, okay, some people are in Europe. All right, so no logic double rods. Items are placed without regard to logic. You may ask, well, wait a minute, can't seeds be unbeatable? Well, yes, they could be under other circumstances, but we allow many, almost all glitches that are known in this game. There are a couple that are a little too powerful. There's a corner case where if one of the rods were on Trinex, crystal Trinex, the seed would be unbeatable, so there are two of each rod in the item pool. And that will allow you to beat Trinex. Otherwise, we did some math a few weeks ago. There's something like a 1 in several quadrillion chance that the seed might be unbeatable. All right, off we go. Right, so Bread-Kun making an early play, likely for. There's a medallion there on Highlight Island. Bread-Kun heading for the back of Escape. We swim into a diagonal wall and we end up with a weird state that lets us swim through all collision, except enemies can still hit us. I'm going to try to avoid that. Bread-Kun, I'm a little worried about this line he's on, but I think he's okay. Yeah, he's got it. Fire will not have to do that swim clip. He just gets a glove from the hobo. Fire likely going to do this same swim clip in another place. This will get into Ice Rod Cave. Pearl, early Pearl. Well, there are a lot of things that we're not going to have to do now that we get the Pearl. Not having the Pearl can make the seed painful in a lot of ways once we clear out the light world. Fire having a little trouble here getting this swim clip going. This is a little finicky. We'll also not have an Ice Rod hunt. It is there in one of the fifth check or so that Bread-Kun gets out of Bonk Rocks there. So Buyer just anyway doesn't have enough money for Zora. He's still going to look at the Zora ledge item and get the items out of Waterfall after arming a water walk there in Ice Rod Cave. We have a Fire Rod on the Lumberjack. So Aga 1 is a little more accessible than you're probably used to seeing in non-glitched mode. However, many players feel like beating Aga 1 is still a little too tedious. Many players will not even look at the Lumberjack item. I don't think MrByer is one of them. I think both players are going to have that information in due course. But you may see that Fire Rod acquired as a last resort. Right, half magic out of the Thieves Hideout. Oh, Woods, we like to have one of those keys before heading there. Buyer making what has become a relatively early Kakariko play. Many players like to skip Kakariko early. I think MrByer is one of them. I think you will see a clockwise loop through the Lost Woods. Well, he'll get the Sanctuary Basement first. Anyway, clockwise loop through the Lost Woods and then head up the mountain instead of going to Kakariko. I think these days, the glitch to get to Aga 1, it used to be that you use Samarian. I think it's been discovered you only need to juke. So you only need to get to Hera and have bombs. I think that's correct. So you really all you need is a weapon to deflect balls back at him. Rather uneventful Kakariko here. Does the new way have to splash the curtain? I forget. That sounds right though. Yeah, you do need a sword. Okay, fair enough. So we need either a sword or Samaria, plus some other weapon to deflect Agnum's yellow ball back at him. And with Samaria, you also need to have the Hera Big Key door open, one way or another. Fire making his clockwise loop through Lost Woods, and going to head up the mountain after peeking at that fire rod. All right, maps. I think we're going to grab that map. Yeah, MrByer also walks down the stairs to make sure of what he's seen, that he's not seen the bottom of an ice rod. There is a subtle difference in the bottom of the rod, so you could tell if you're used to seeing it. Oh, a little clip through the wall there. MrByer heading up the mountain. Bread-Kun clipping through a different wall, heading down to desert. After getting the map, I didn't see what the map was. I'm not sure it was exciting. 50 rupees just worth a couple rod shots to get. We use lots of bombs in this mode, so not strange to go from 6 to 9 bombs by bonking the torch there. Bread-Kun. I thought I saw that it was a useless map there. So, not a worthwhile map on race game. Nothing interesting at Ahara, nothing interesting or on Spectacle Rock. Probably gonna rest the old man now. Bread-Kun is setting up a quadrant glitch. This will get him to the right side of the desert without need of the small key. He is not taking a bunch of damage, so I imagine he's gonna he's doing a setup that gets him hit twice by this BMO, so he'll have only one heart left. Probably going to Death Warp after he gets these 2 chests. Visible item, no indication for me what it was. And same is true of the second item, so 2 unknown items on the right side of desert. Tracker may have to peek at Bread-Kun's stream to see what's going on. Or we'll see it in due course. Buyer gets, I didn't see what it was from the old man. I don't think it was interesting. Bread-Kun takes a shield. I saw the shield. Bread-Kun sort of forgot what he was doing, headed down then up, but we're going to get K45. Fire going to Houlihan after filling up on bombs. And I think it was a compass or something in Graveyard Ledge. I'm sure it wasn't useful. Bread-Kun gets K45 does not yet have the glove from Hobo. Won't be able to do checkerboard cave, but we'll finish this route inside Agana. Fire looks like he's going to do South Shore here. Small key to ice, not especially interesting. It is nice to have one of those. In general, small keys are not that useful. A couple of them are very nice, like the Era and or Swamp. Small keys plus the Desert key. Here we're seeing Mini Moldorm Cave, likely going to see King's Tomb afterwards. Bread-Kun demonstrating that frozen guards can be used as weapon. Pretty good haul there at a Mini Moldorm Cave. We got the mirror, we got a bottle, and we got powder. So everyone's favorite glitch, Tree Warp could dupe that bottle if it comes to it. Fire down to 1 heart. He can do this juke without taking damage. He will. I think he's halfway into it, so I think he's going to be fine. There we go. And Flute in King's Tomb. I feel like you should save and quit immediately with the Flute and go to Kakariko, but especially now that he has that bottle, MrByer's going to walk somewhere. Yeah, I should have saved and quit Buyer. All right, so Bread-Kun continuing in escape. It looks like Bugnet was one of those invisible items. I saw it there on Bread-Kun's quick swap. All right, so Buyer looks like he's gonna head to it's Dark World. Interesting. What are we doing in the Dark World so early? Oh, we're just going to do Village and okay. Bread-Kun, I think, just now learned that you can throw the frozen guard through the door there, making him inaccessible to kill the ball and chain guard. But that's okay, we got caught for that. Fire small key, we'll grab that. Fire a little low on health, he's gonna have to be careful. Moblins. He might actually, yeah, I was gonna say, I think he's gonna clip off of here just to avoid the murder jackals. Bread-Kun thinking about the way he wants to go up the mountain. He aborted doing the new version of the PMA, and we'll head up mountain old way. He might be stuck in a wall. Yes, he is. Yep. So Buyer just going to clear out dark and light villages together. Bread-Kun now doing the different DNA, the newer, now more common DNA that will get him into the old man rescue cave. He made a mistake, so he will have to figure out how to fix it. This is relatively easy to fix, but you have to know it. You just clip in here a bit, move up, and then press down. You got it? Yep. Fire getting his nothing out of Kakariko. He will be able to activate his flute and check Sick Kid. Alright, so Bread-Kun. So there's actually a new trick. I just saw it in the Discord maybe yesterday to relatively easily get from King's Tomb to... Excuse me, from Graveyard Lights to King's Tomb. No one's doing that right now, though, looks like. I think you'd have to throw a bomb. It was done with a sword in the clip I saw. You may have to have a bomb. Alright, you need the hook shot to get through. So, nothing exciting on either side so far. Buyer will get this Sick Kid check that we have not seen yet. Again, not interesting. Oh, he has the powder, so we can do Magic Bat. This is a easy clip here. Gonna fake flipper, also wrap the screen, so we're swimming through things. So the buyer gets 20 arrows for his items. Oh, Bread-Kun, no. We have the mirror shield on Bread-Kun's side. How do we feel about that? Mirror shield disliked by many players. It is very large and gets in the way of some visual cues involving Link's head and such. And is, of course, otherwise not useful. Be interesting if it blocked Beamos beams, but it does not. Right, Bread-Kun getting his haul out of Mini Moldorm Cave. 3 hearts. I'm not sure he's going to try to clip to King's Tomb. He will. If he doesn't get it, though, he'll be missing out on the flute. Looks like he's doing it. There we go. That looked well practiced. Yep. Fire 2 bombs, wants 3 more. Bread-Kun gets his flute. I wonder if... I thought we might see a second double tape from Buyer to get those bombs off the torch. So we're running out of nice, easy things to do. I don't think we've actually seen East Death Mountain from either player. Buyer, okay. Couldn't be sure because of the effect of the green potion there, but Buyer is going to take this opportunity in being in desert to go to Thieves' Town and open the attic. I'm not sure this saves too much time, actually, since you have to go downstairs and get the key. Then he is likely to clip back to desert in this room and grab what I believe to be a bug net and another item on the right side of desert. There we go, back in desert. There's a heart piece. The second heart piece. I don't know where the bug net came from. Alright, so Buyer is in this area. With the glove that Bread-Kun did not have, so he can do checkerboard here. Bugnet is in Agona. Okay, Buyer about to confirm that for us. Alright, so the main easy density of items left is, well, we can do all of the Dark World. Yeah, Buyer's gonna walk out. Where's he gonna go? He could head back to his portal in Kakariko. Okay, so I didn't see his sequence, but he may not have done Cave 45, and he may have put it off with the idea of heading back to Kakariko, as I suggested. Bread-Kun now doing East Death Mountain. Second Ice Palace small key. Oh, he has the flute. He will just flute back to his portal in Kakariko. Bread-Kun, a little low here, so no magic to use as Ice Rod. Cannot take extra hits from these mini Moldorms. And does. Unfortunate. Alright, so Buyer clearing out the Village of Outcasts. Does not have a weapon to fight blind, so we may see only the... Also doesn't have the Thieves' Town big key, so we definitely only see the front four. Now we have a weapon to fight blind, and it is tree warpable, and it is easily tree warpable. We'll have to see if we get that dupe. It'd be almost strange not to dupe that if you're comfortable at all with tree warp. Doesn't get much easier than that item. In fact, that may be the single best location to tree warp outside of entrance no logic. He can go up to Red Mail too if he wants. I'm sure he does not. So Bread-Kun back on East Death Mountain. I think I saw him get the Spiral Cave item, and I think I saw it was nothing, perhaps arrows. Nothing in the bottom of Paradox Cave. So if MrByer were going to tree warp that sword, now would be the time. He is not. Interesting. Alright, so Bread-Kun gets absolutely nothing out of Paradox Cave. Likely, well, So Bread-Kun does not have the glove from Hobo, has not been Ice Rod Cave. Also, Buyer didn't bother to collect that medallion, which is Quake, from Lake Hylia Island. Bread-Kun will get it now, it looks like. Alright, so Buyer's gonna... Oh, okay, we're headed to Meyer. So Buyer gonna peek at the medallion, likely, and gonna see if this Quake is worth picking up. Alright, Mushroom and Like It or Not Red Mail out of Meyer Hut. Meyer Shed. Meyer is Vanilla Ether. That Quake now becomes useless. Not entirely useless, but pretty useless. Bread-Kun making an attempt at this clip to Hobo. Gets it. Will get his glove. And looks like this is going to finish with Ice Rod Cave. Alright, Buyer directly clipping over to... Okay, so he's probably going to, after talking to the bomb shop owner, do a funny auto walk. I think it's a walk rather than swim. Anyway, get to East Dark World. Don't think we've seen a map check from either player. I also don't think we have enough maps to make a map check worthwhile. But Ice and Swamp are crystals. Bread-Kun does not want his green potion. Will get a random potion in exchange. Joke's on you, it's green. Alright, so funny auto walk after swim. That's why I didn't remember. Okay, so Bread-Kun going to purchase the Zor item. This has swung races in the tournament, both one way and another. A player getting, I think in fact, this, wow. So that's not especially important because of that Thieves' Town sword, but it is an easy sword for Bread-Kun. I suppose it's more important if Bread-Kun is not comfortable with Tree Warp. Lamp out of Pyramid Fairy. That makes setting certain indexes for certain glitches easy. I don't think we quite yet have access to the glitches that enables. Okay, so Buyer has the cape. Alright, so I am being informed that there are setups for... because we have powder, I think, maybe? Yeah, so there's a glitch called Overworld Conveyor. Which we now have access to with that lamp. And in fact, I know Buyer likes that particular glitch. We may see him head to... Oh! The troll! So, Bread-Kun headed to Pod in Cave State. And we got a pod small key in cave state. So when you are in cave state, your small key count is -1, which is otherwise known as 255. If you get another key, that value overflows to 0. So Bread-Kun had no keys there in pod. We will have to make a second trip to pod to be open, to be able to open small key doors. All right, so Bread-Kun heading back to pod. This time, the first thing he will do is open a small key door. So that will not be able to happen to him again unless somehow he gets 2 pod keys in a row. I think that's possible. Absurdly unlikely, but possible. So that's where the other shield was in escape. So Buyer is in I didn't mention this one. Bread-Kun did it, but Bread-Kun went to escape to get a cave state key. Wow, so we have the hook shot. So once Buyer gets that, in combination with his lamp, things get very interesting. The longer Bread-Kun goes without getting that lamp out of Pyramid Fairy, MrByer's advantage will grow. So Buyer will head to Dark Cross. You will often see this skipped. Bread-Kun not getting much out of pod, aside from that hook shot, which, in fairness, is very important. The hook shot, in combination with other items that I think Bread-Kun does not quite have, will send us through walls. All right, so MrByer, confirming he has a potion, is likely headed to Thieves Town with it. So Buyer working on this, there we go. Now we're in Thieves Town. Opening this doors, grabbing the maiden. That was a heart piece out of the cell. Wonder if MrByer will even open this door. He does. Seems absurdly unlikely he will ever check that. Because as our tracker Tam was saying, we're awfully close to go mode. So once either of them gets one of the items the other already has, namely Buyer has the lamp out of Pyramid Fairy and Bread-Kun has the hookshot out of pod, a little more likely that Buyer goes to pod than Bread to Pyramid Fairy. Either way, once they have that item, they are likely very close to Go mode. At least a version of Go mode that is perhaps unpleasant. Fire knows where there's another sword that he can duplicate. Bread-Kun is very likely going to get that sword, so there's no real sword issue, although they don't know it yet. Or at least Bread-Kun does not know it yet. Yeah, we would like to see the bow. One of the bows to make glitching with hookshot, called hook pushing, easier. Samaria would also work. And Bread-Kun has completed a glitch to get to Helmasaur. Everybody does it all the time, so I did not really note it, but it is a rather involved glitch. Bread-Kun, being a little tentative here with his fight, has to land 8 sword spins and is now in one-hit KO mode and in fact dies. Had the cape with full magic. I think that was an oversight not using that. So, okay, map check there. We see that Turtle Rock and Mire are crystals on top of what we already knew about Ice and Swamp. Bread-Kun is abandoning the Helmasaur kill for now, is doing a quadrant glitch that will get him to Hookshot Cave. I think we just saw a crystal at Desert. So, let's see. It's not quite full crystal information, but we're getting close. So MrByer headed to Pod, going to get his hook shot, and we'll start. Okay, well, forgot about that key there. We'll head to Pod a second time, then we'll get his hook shot, and we'll start thinking about Go mode. Alright, so Bread-Kun cannot get the balcony chest with this route. Made a small mistake there, I think, with his inputs, which got him stuck in the wall. Had to wait for it to bomb open. Alright, so Hookshot Cave here for Bread-Kun. So far, a lot of nothing. Small key to Turtle Rock. One of those is nice, but I believe Bread-Kun already had one from somewhere. Fire with his hook shot. Not immediately go moding. Is going to get, I believe, nothing out of the back of Pod here. Skullwood. Okay, so that is a fetch quest. Also nothing there out of Super Bunny Cave. Looks like Bread-Kun is heading to the bottom of Ganon's tower here. He must, yeah, has a green potion, so that's how he's going to do it. We're going to see an Armos fight. Looks like it's going to be a rather unpleasant one with some combination of Ice Rod and Sword. looks like just sword. All right, so Bread-Kun may not know a thing that players know, which is with fighter sword, spins are inferior to slashes. These actually do half damage. So Bread-Kun is doing half the amount of damage with spins that he could with slashes or pokes. This is one of those little weird corner cases. Bread-Kun, despite being well versed in many glitches, is relatively new to A Link to the Past, I believe. Yeah, so Ice Rod does quite a bit of damage. I think it's 6 rod shots for each Armos, but it is many spins. I suppose if you're getting 3 at once, it's worth it. 3 at once with double hits. Alright, so Bread-Kun 2 nights away. I wonder if actually Bread-Kun in fact knows about the spins and was thinking that if he's getting multiple nights hit multiple times per spins, it's worth it, and I think he might be right. Either way, we've got Armos Knights down, and we're getting a map, a heart piece, and either a heart piece or a Sanctuary Heart there. In fact, I think one of those had to be Sanctuary Heart. No, not true. Anyway, nothing of interest. Desert Small out of the GT Big Chest is nice. I think it might be the #1 ranked small key. Perhaps not, though. In some cases, you'd really like to see the Swamp small key, but you can get around it. Are we going to see the bonk? Not going to see the bonk. Tragic. So you can hookshot that top pot and bonk off it to the north instead of walking around. Don't have the hammer. We can get around the hammer with a juke. Bread-Kun gets a second sword that he needed. He's going to get one relatively free in... Well, he could be in go mode by that time, I suppose. If he gets Pyramid Fairy. Yeah, so Bread-Kun is going to do the juke. He's going to get on the other side of this door and go to the left, and this will get him around this hammer block. And this will get him into Stalfos' room. He will not be able to get out of Stalfos' room, so his route will end there. Unless he actually gets Bombos out of this room. Even then, he won't be able to go very far. So, 1 invisible item, 1 compass. Second invisible item. Third invisible item. Unfortunate. So, I was focused on Bread-Kun's GT clear. Meanwhile, MrByer has headed to Skullwoods. He does not know whether this is a crystal, but for him this is relatively easy to get to, so he is getting information. Wants to know whether this is a crystal, and we've got... I think we've got a Phase 2, quote-unquote, Mothula lunging for MrByer there. This is getting a little close here. Bread-Kun actually wants to take damage from Mothula rather than the spikes at this point. With red mail. There we go. Mothula down. Actually, I'm not sure what dungeon we're in. Shovel and flippers, I'm being told. Bread-Kun got. That is nice for Swamp. So Bread-Kun now in Hera. So I think that was the green pendant out of So I don't know what dungeon state Buyer was in there. It looked awful lot like the pod tile set, but I don't know of a glitch from pod to Skull Woods. Buyer was in pod. Okay, so there's a hook push I don't know to to Skull Woods from pod, so that green pendant is the pod dungeon prize. Oxalisk, very helpful in chat. Buyer, I don't think he's actually been to... Right, and we get the second pendant out of Hera. Alright, so... we got the crystal from the... Actually, do we have full crystal information? I think we might. Yeah, okay, so we don't know between Skull and Eastern, which is our last crystal. And the runners know less than that. Alright, so Buyer is going to get nothing out of Paradox Cave. Cleaning up what Bread-Kun did. Bread-Kun looks like he's headed to Thieves Town. He will get a sword out of this, getting him up to Tempered. So Buyer, I believe, has to be so two things. One, Buyer is already thinking about go mode. There's a sword he knows he can dupe. He is very likely to get... Well, no, he's not very likely. So one of the swords is in GT, one is in Zora. He's almost certainly not getting Zora. And MrByer dislikes GT. So there's definitely a sword he knows he can dupe. Yeah, okay, rethinks his route there. Alright, okay, so Buyer likely buying a bomb upgrade here. He's gonna have, well, let's see. I don't personally know off the top of my head how Buyer is gonna get to, oh well, hook pushing solves everything, so likely to hook push to Argus. Alright, Bread-Kun a couple chests away from his third sword. Alright, so Buyer has to think about... Buyer has to be thinking about go mode, so... There's a fire rod that we know about on Lumberjack, in case you're just joining us, so we can get items we need to... Oh, we have Bombos, I'm not sure where that was. But we can get the fire rod to kill Trenix. We know it's on Lumberjack. There's a second fire rod around somewhere. So we're going to see our first Sahasrara check at 48 minutes. Wow. So, Buyer's play to Skull Woods to get the pod green pendant pays off. That, I believe, makes hook pushing much easier. So... Before, hook pushing might have been a little annoying. Now I think MrByer can get anywhere he wants And he really has to think about duping that sword in Thieves Town for his go mode. And he also has to think about killing Aghanim 1 for his fire rod. So I think a lot of us are thinking MrByer has to be in go mode, and I wonder if we're heading straight to that sword right now to dupe it. Yeah, I can't think of any other reason to go here to Thieves Town, so here we go. Alright, so didn't need to screen transition, but that's okay. Alright, unfortunate. We went a little too far. We need this thief here. Need him to stay on screen. No, this is fine. He doesn't need to do anything. This is just fine. He does need this thief to follow him, though. This is not dangerous. That was a little far, but that's okay. Here we go. Second sword out of the front of thieves. No, that was never going to fail. So you do not need to kill that the northwest moblin. It's not an issue. The only issue is with that is whether that lower moblin follows you. Looks like we're going to get a second tree warp here to go up to tempered. I think this is quite reasonable. So killing that moblin is preferable but optional. And if this moblin is going to be a problem. And I think MrByer realizes he didn't head... No, he's fine. I don't know why he... So, the main things here are not to have the tree in the southeast corner loaded when you do this. So you don't need to screen transition. That is only if you accidentally load that tree. Screen transitioning will unload that southeast tree. But you want to look at the northwest tree. The trees stay loaded. And then you don't want that lower moblin throwing spears, because those spears consume a sprite slot. Alright, unfortunate, the ghost got in the way there. So, yeah, I think Bread-Kun is trying to recover, and I think he's right that this is possible and safe. He has too many bombs and arrows that this is going to be a problem. As long as those two chickens there stay on the screen, he's fine. I think we had too many sprites there. I think something wandered into our path. So his game didn't crash. He either had... Yeah. Anyway, Bread-Kun is continuing. I think we saw Small Key off a dig game. Bread-Kun's in a little bit of a hard spot. Not having the lamp out of Pyramid Fairy is the main thing, but also Samaria off the green pendant turn-in. He's perhaps unlikely to ever get Samaria, but he really needs to get that lamp kind of soon. And maybe, there we go, another good tree warp. So, up to tempered. I believe Buyer doing this suggests he intends to go mode pretty hard here. think he's going to go straight for every boss. I guess Ether would be nice, so he may open chests on the way. So I think we got a map check there. That answered a question, but I wasn't paying too close attention. Buyer is going to get his information. I'm surprised he's not hook pushing straight to Armos. Is there some reason he couldn't hook push straight to Armos? Would he want a bow to do that? Alright. So not go moding just yet for Buyer. Again, Ether would be real nice. Would save him a couple minutes. Alright, so Buyer setting up a quadrant glitch here. That was a failure. He went a frame too far, I think. Bread-Kun going to get Hype Cave, which I think Buyer will never see. Invisible item for Mr. Buyer there. He's quick swapping to see if he can discover what it was. I don't see what it was. Alright, Buyer being careful about his camera. He has the big key, so he's being careful to... Oh. Yeah, he's continuing. That might have been a bottle. An invisible bottle that Buyer just got. It looks like he has a blue and red potion now. Alright, so Buyer heading to Meyer now with a hook push. Bread-Kun is climbing Hera. Bread-Kun has the flippers, so this is likely Swamp. So, not so easy with the Ice Rod, but he gets the hard part of it. Our tracker Tam saying that, pointing out this is a pretty good play here. Buyer does not know his last crystal, but he does know that he needs to kill Vitreous, so he's going to get the unknown Eastern prize and kill Vitreous on the same trip. Yeah, so Bread-Kun headed to Swamp. Does not have... I'm not sure what... I guess this particular trip... I wonder if Bread-Kun is making a mistake here without a key, unless we're just flooding. We're just flooding, okay. Alright, so Bread-Kun now gonna head to Pod in Cave State, and from Pod to Hera, and from Hera to Swamp, all in Cave State. Then he can open all the doors he wants in Swamp. Alright, so buyer's still looking for items. Given his plan, I'm not sure. I guess flippers or ether. I don't know, though. I'm not sure he should be opening chests. I guess another fire rod, an alternative fire rod would be nice. So there's just enough out there that he could get that it's worth opening chests. Yeah, but we're not going to get the bridge chest, for example, it looks like. Bread-Kun in pod in cave state completes a YBA. This will get him to Hera. Fire, I think he's far enough left, yeah. And the pegs are down anyway. So skips big key and Samari requirement. He has both, but that was a little faster. So Buyer just dashing through the small eyes with his cape on. Bread-Kun now in swamp, opening all the doors. So Buyer learns that Eastern is a pendant, I believe. I'm not sure he knows about Hera. The tracker has marked it as though he knows. He definitely knows about Desert, though, so he's going to beat that now. So chat is discussing that MrByer's play to go from pod and beat Mothula worked out very well in the form of that Samaria. On the flip side, Bread-Kun died on Helmasaur with full magic and cape. So those two plays, and Samaria was the green pendant turn-in, which is the pod dungeon prize. So that unfortunately is a big flip in this race. Buyer is trying to hook push with the tiles going. Maybe just filling up a slot before he gets here. No, he's gonna light the torches. Just going to land mode the old-fashioned way. Alright, so Desert Crystal, that is that really only the second crystal? We do have a couple boss kills that can't be marked independently. So Buyer's sort of on cleanup here. Might be getting a bomb upgrade for all the stuff he has to do. Perhaps a couple bomb upgrades. He was thinking about something there. So meanwhile, Bread-Kun is about to get the Argus kill and the Swamp Crystal all in one play. It took a couple trips, so it's a little slow, but easy enough with the flippers he has that Byer does not. Those were in GT somewhere, I think. Right, so where is Byer headed now? Not an overworld conveyor going... Okay, so this is probably Argus, so he's probably going to... I think he has the Desert Small Key. So he's probably going to Death Hole to Argus here. Yeah, so chat pointing out... once we kill Argus in Desert State... Oh. I didn't see... So MrByer picked up the Desert Prize. So once he kills Argus, he will not be able to warp to the front of Swamp. That answers that. So there's the second fire rod out of Desert Big Chest. So we're not killing Aghanim 1. Fire, I'm not sure he meant to die there. I think he meant to take just enough damage to be on the brink of death. Yeah, so he's going to do a Death Hole to Argus. So he's now at half a heart. He actually needs to be at a quarter of a heart. One bomb will do that. But not a Devalent Fireball. Alright, so Byer needs to take the right amount of damage, just the right amount here. So one more bomb should do it. And there's the bomb. Alright. So Bread-Kun heading to the castle. He has 2 castle tower keys. So he may be simply walking to Aghanim 1 to get that fire rod. Even if he knew it was there, Bread-Kun does not have the Desert Big Key to open the Desert Big Chest. He may just be getting 2 items out of Aghanim 1, though. Just 1 item, in fact. Okay, so there's a glitch here to get to... Okay, so he's going to do... There are a couple ways to do this. You can skip some of Agatar with the YBA right off the top here. I think he drank his... No, did not drink his potion. Okay, so now we're in the Dark Maze. We skipped a couple rooms. He maybe had fewer keys than I thought. I'm not sure what's going on. Either way, so on MrByer's side, we're getting closer to completion, although we can't actually show that on the tracker yet, or at least we choose not to. So you need to beat the boss and collect the dungeon prize, the crystal out of every dungeon with a crystal. He has Argus defeated. There's the second ice rod on Laser Bridge. So we're doing Turtle Rock now. A little surprised he's not just doing ice. Normally you'd wait to the end to do Turtle Rock here. because it's easy to get to Aghanim 2 from Turtle Rock, and beating Aghanim 2 drops you straight into the Ganon fight. It's not terrible to get to Ganon afterwards, though, so not a big deal. No Turtle Rock Big Key, that's fine. We have the hook shot. So Bread-Kun doing one of the nastier dark rooms without any fire. This is unfortunate. So Byer has the setup he had the setup he wanted, I think. There we go. We're past the Turtle Rock Big Key door into the Tronics fight. So Bread-Kun, I believe, is past the hard dark room there in Aga Tower. He's in the last one now. There we are. So Bread-Kun, a little new to A Link to the Past in general, perhaps, and certainly to glitches. Perhaps doesn't know the infrequently used glitch to get to Aghanim 1, so we got mostly a regular Aga Tower, although we did use a potion to skip a key. Alright, so Aghanim 1 fight coming up from Bread-Kun. We'll get his fire rod from the lumberjack and possibly... Well, is that really his go mode? Are we okay with the hook pushing? You'd have to be fine. I think you'd have to be using ice rod for hook pushing. So you'd have to know that. Not sure how close Bread-Kun is actually to go mode. Alright, so Byer, if he did not know before, knows now that Hera is a pendant. We don't care about the pendant, but we do need the Moldorm kill to get dungeon prizes from other dungeons in Hera. MrByer is likely going to one of those now, perhaps. What is he doing now? So he knows Skull Woods is a crystal. He has the fire rod now, so that seems likely. He's already killed Mothula, so there won't be a Mothula fight. He can just run there and be done with it real quick. Alright, Bread-Kun getting his lamp. I suspect this will be go mode for Bread-Kun. Byer still opening chests. Interesting. So some of the hook pushes, well, I think it'd be only one hook push in the front of Swamp and one that people do. It's a little finicky, but it's one that people do. Okay, it does have a long path to dupe Meyer, but he's going to spend an awful lot of time for the relatively low likelihood of finding ether in particular. Oh, I guess we're doing all this just because we're hook pushing anyway. So Byer's going to hook push to the back. No, we're going to YBA. This is not one I've seen before. Okay, we're just duping the Hera. Excuse me, the Skullwoods Prize in Hera. So that is Skullwoods done for Buyer. Mothula was killed earlier, and we just got the crystal out of Hera. And we need the... So we need, Meyer Swamp crystals and full Ice Palace completion. MrByer gets stuck on a wall. He's mirroring. Okay, so he can just flute. No, you can't just flute out of this. Bread-Kun heading to Ice Palace. I imagine he's got a blue potion somewhere. And that will get him to Cold Stare without the hammer. Fourth sword there in Ice Palace. So Bread-Kun has 4 swords without duping any of them. Fire looks like he's headed to the front of Swamp to get the Swamp Crystal out of Hera. So not having flippers, he's likely to do a hook push. He could also get the Swamp Crystal out of Skull Woods, actually. That is perhaps easier. More direct, at least. I don't know about easier. Yeah, so Bread-Kun not having Samaria is having to take the bomb jump route in Ice Palace. Okay, MrByer not headed to Swamp, headed instead to Ice Palace with a mirror wrap. So Bread-Kun is... Alright, So we're getting one right side check from Buyer, at least. I'm not going to see the other one without hammer. I think technically you could do it, but we're not going to. He doesn't want more chests that bad. Right, so Bread-Kun setting up a YBA here to get to Cold Stare. Bread-Kun skipping iced tea, I think I saw. So he doesn't want more chests that bad. He may be in go mode. Kirby and the Forgotten Land is Buyer's MSU. So Bread-Kun in the doorway for the YBA. Needs to be a spin. He doesn't get it. Buyer right behind him. Probably gonna have to use a second bomb. And because you have to do a spin, these berries are a little bit of a problem. Actually, that's an interesting question. I don't know what happens if you do the spin YBA but hit a berry. Maybe you can't hit a berry. Yeah, you can't hit a berry. All right, so MrByer gets it, despite getting here a little later than Bread-Kun. And Bread-Kun right behind him, though. Okay. And so there's some inputs you have to do after the YBA, or else you can get stuck in the wall. Did not happen to Bread-Kun, although I was worried there for a second. All right, so both get their Ice Palace, Crystal, and boss completion. All right, so Buyer just has Swamp and Mire left to duplicate. Starting on the mountain suggests he's going to do Mire first. So Bread-Kun has a little more left to do. He's going to get some more potions. Am I wrong about this? So Buyer's acting like he's going to open some swamp here. Maybe this is a Mire dupe, though. I think this is just a Mire dupe. Yeah, okay. Just a Mire dupe. Never mind. So we're going to head from Pod to Hera with a wrong warp. We saw it on Bread-Kun's side earlier. We will then head to the sewers from Hera. We will walk through the throne room door, or at least, well, however we get to the other side of it, we will walk through the throne room door. That will change our dungeon ID. When you're in Pod, it will change your ID to Myers ID, which is why we're starting in Pod. Bread-Kun gets the pauses there a little in front of the desert big chest after climbing most of Aga Tower to get his fire rod. Yep. So once we go through the throne room door, we will be in Mire State. And then we will go back through the sewers. and wrong warp to Hera and collect the Meyer crystal from Moldorm's arena. Looks like we made a mistake on the setup there at first. So, Buyer having some difficulty here, it looks like. There we go. So, a little low on bombs, yeah. But we get it. So now we see the crystal C show up in the upper left corner, showing that we're in Myers. So Buyer actually has to get this. And he may have failed already. He did. So he has to... yeah, he's thinking about what he has to do. Because he's low on bombs now. Alright. Okay, that's good. That's not good. I think he has just now failed. So he has to YBA now to Hera, I believe. Maybe there's just enough magic in these pots for him to try again. Maybe with half magic. Yeah, so he's going to try again with the hook push. I'm not sure what he has in his bottles. He could skip all of this with a YBA to Hera, and that may be what he's doing now. Yeah, it looks like we are abandoning the hook push. He needs so I saw one empty bottle. He only has a second. Anyway, Bread-Kun is now... Okay, so we're getting more magic out of the back of sewers here. I think there's another pot's worth. We're doing a STC? I don't know that this works, but... We're doing an STC or a juke. Looks like an STC. So we do... So, some question about what we're doing here. There are two things we could be doing with this Samaria block. One is getting into the right position in the door. And getting into the right... Alright, that was not intentional. And MrByer resets. Okay, so we're going to try to do all of that again. So that I believe... Wow, there is ether in the big key chest of Skull Woods. So this was looking like Buyer was running away with this. But now we may have a race. I believe Bread-Kun can skip Samaria with the equipment he has. That's in Meyer. So his Meyer clear won't be terrible, I think. He can certainly do try an X. And he's about to get the only other crystal he has left. So last race, I know Bread-Kun had trouble getting to Act 2. He may have been disappointed with that and learned what he needs to know to hook push lava dive. Right, so we're having a discussion in chat about whether what MrByer tried was even really possible. I think it is. He just was off by a pixel. But it's possibly not. In either case, Byer's going to... What's he doing? Why does he have 3 small keys? Are we here from... Oh, we're already here from Pod. Okay. Well, he had 0 bombs, so that was a problem. I think he barely could have. Anyway, we're trying again what he was doing before. I suspect he was pretty close the last time, so here we go. Gets the first part. This should be easy. Now we're through the door. Now we are in Meyer state. We're in a much better position. Plenty of bombs, magic. I think we're going to get it this time. There's the stuck hook. Hookshot is not going away the way it did last time, and now we're back in Hera. So Bread-Kun now headed to Meyer. Byer is headed up Hera to get his 6th crystal. They're both on their way to their 6th crystal. Going to take Bread-Kun a little longer. Byer has... I don't know. I think, he should be able to get his swamp crystal relatively easily. But I thought it was strange he didn't already. Oh, okay, so chat is telling me what I didn't know, which is that... Oh, that's a mistake. So MrByer was trying to use his health refill at the top of Hera to have full health at Hera and just go straight to Swamp with sword beams, which he needs to do the trick to duplicate the dungeon prize out of Swamp. Now I need to turn my phone off. There we go. So that's a super drop on MrByer's side. Gets him from the top of the map to the bottom. And he's just going to head into Swamp. Should be a simple hook push off to the... I think it's off to the right, which will get him into Mothula's arena. Mothula's already dead. So the dungeon prize will drop. This looks like not what he's doing. In fact, I might be thinking of Ice Palace, where that's possible. I think he's just trying to get past this trench, first trench here without flippers. Off to the left. Nope, this is off to the right. And there's the Swamp Crystal. So 7th crystal for MrByer. I did not see what went wrong on Bread-Kun's side. I don't know why we're here after he was in Mire. Maybe he died or missed the trick to get to Vitreous, or Vitreous's arena anyway. All right, so MrByer now only has Aghanim 2. Bread-Kun has to return to Mire. All right, so chat saying that. So there's there's a way to get to Vitreous by using 2 YBAs. After the first one, you must carefully back out of the door by a certain number of pixels. I'm being told he did not back out by the correct number of pixels, or not back out at all. Well, 2 pixels works. I think more also works. It might be 2, 2, 3, or 4, but more works. Two frames, yeah. Anyway, Bread-Kun is about to do that particular trick again. Byer has very quickly done the trick to get to Aghanim 2, so fast that I didn't see what it was. Probably involved Samaria. Alright, so Bread-Kun has sprites, so that means he did this correctly. Now he needs to do a spin YBA north here to get to Vitreous. Could also be a mirror door. I don't know what is in his bottles, but that's a backup if he makes a mistake with the YBA. Needs to use some magic. Yep. Alright. Don't worry about that, though. He gets the YBA just fine. And Byer completes Aghanim 2, is now in the Ganon fight. Alright, so 6 crystal for Bread-Kun. Relatively simple TR Aghanim 2 combo left for him. So Byer got hit a couple times here, so he has red mail, so shouldn't be an issue. You have no bow, you dingus. That's fine. Don't need one. So Bread-Kun headed to Turtle Rock here. And Ganon down for MrByer. So, I hate to say it for Bread-Kun, but I was wondering whether I was going to be able to cover Game 3, so somewhat convenient for me that this series is now over. MrByer finishes in first place with a 1 3908. Let's see what happens here about interviews and whether Bread-Kun continues. I think he's close enough and been long enough that he would have forfeit already if he were going to. So I think Bread-Kun will finish this out. And we'll see about getting MrByer. He may wait for Bread-Kun to finish. So I'd like to summarize what went on, but I might wait for one or both players. So Bread-Kun going to skip the Turtle Rock Big Key with a pair of YBAs, it looks like. He could also delete the door, I think. I forget what sequence of Samarias and YBAs to do the deletion. Ooh, he almost walked a little too far south there, and we are joined now by MrByer. Good game.
Yep, GG's. Felt like my brain was on fire that whole scene.
Yep, so...
Oh, there was a sword on Zora. Oh.
Yep, so so you found 3 swords all in one place, and Bread-Kun found 4 swords, none of them in the same place.
Wow.
So Zor was one, GT was another, and then you skipped the Pengator room at the front of Ice. That was his 4th.
Yeah.
All right, so I think that might be, let's see, did we get... Yeah, forfeit there from Mr. Bread-Kun after failing that double YBA, so we will get him in here. Well, we'll see if he wants to. Yeah, he's coming in here for an interview, and then I will summarize. There we are, joined by Bread-Kun. Good game.
Yep, good game.
Yeah. So, interesting differences here. So you found 4 swords all in different places. Buyer found 3 in Thieves Town.
Naturally.
Yeah, so you had a deeply unfortunate death on Helmasaur King. Deeply unfortunate because that was the green pendant and Sahasrara was holding the Kano Samaria.
Yeah, that would have made the seed significantly faster.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there were a lot. So at least I certainly had questions about exactly how you felt about Go Mode without first Lamp, and then once you had Lamp without Samaria or Bow. So Buyer, I guess, question is when you felt you were in Go Mode.
So, I was gonna go to, after Saha to Eastern and then do, I think, double YBA to Biddy. And I think I would use my mirror there. But then I got the cane, and I realized I was, like, super in Go Mode. And at that point, I realized I wanted, like, firepower at that moment, so that's when I decided to dupe the swords. And then it was just clear, like, 4 dungeons.
Yeah, so you also managed to, so you kept opening chests. You managed to skip 1 chest. You skipped the Skullwood's Big Key chest, which had ether in it that Bread-Kun eventually found.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
The ether was basic. I just had to deal with Meyer. It was either I get ether, I get another bottle, I get a bow, I get Samaria. Basically, any of those items would have allowed me to fully deal with Meyer.
Yeah, so theoretically, you might have been in Go Mode before ether, but practically, you'd have to know some advanced hook pushing to do it without ether, so that was your Go Mode?
Well, I couldn't hook push at all. Well, I don't know anything beyond the Samaria and the bow stuck pushing. I don't know how to do the weird sword beam ice rods. Using
You need a
that
pretty good understanding of hook pushing for that.
Yep, so big difference was that Helmasaur death, and then Buyer, let's see. had that glove earlier, had the lamp earlier, so that made things a bit smoother. And then, Bread-Kun, you chose just the wrong time to climb Aga Tower for that fire rod, and then immediately found the second one in desert.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I was banking on fire rod being somewhere awful at that point, and hoping that maybe Buyer didn't check lumberjack, and I was kind of gambling a little bit on that, honestly.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. So, in terms of this mode, there are quick ways to Aga 1, but not usual in this particular mode. So, a little bit of a niche tech for this tournament, at least.
Yeah.
So you had to do the dark room with nothing. That was fun.
Mm-hmm.
Have you done that before?
Nope, never done it before. I was riding by the seat of my pants doing it.
Yep.
In pod?
No, Aga Tower.
Oh, an Aga. Ooh, that's
I climbed Aga with nothing for the fire rod.
Yeah, so Bread-Kun also went to GT, which MrByer did not. Got mainly the flippers. There might have been something else.
I think there's a shovel in GT that had some. I think it was like the shovel in GT had like the Eastern Big Key behind shovel, but they didn't matter at all.
Yeah, it was not.
It was mostly the flippers.
Yeah, mostly the flippers. So that made Swamp easy enough without the hook pushing stuff you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So, anything stand out to you about the seed, Bread-Kun?
Well, if I would have gotten that Samaria early, man, that would have changed the whole scene. That would have changed everything. That would have been fantastic. But after learning it was green pen, and I was not going back to Alpensar.
Yep.
Yeah.
How about you, Buyer?
Yeah. I'd do a lot of hook pushing seed. I felt really good that I got a lot of them pretty quickly. The one I was a little upset about was the Meyer dupe one, which I couldn't figure out why it wasn't working. But
yeah, and then I think you missed the mirror door there.
Yeah. I've only done it, I think, once in practice. So I was still a little unfamiliar about it. Yeah.
Yep. So unfortunately, this eliminates Bread-Kun from the tournament. MrByer, you are moving on to face, let's see, Red Kitsune. And then Chex Human is waiting for the winner of that. So good luck with those. Right now, I'm not sure. We have Game 3 was going to follow this, but that will not happen. The only other game I know of on the schedule is Sunday sometime. Malmo versus Krithel will be the beginning of their series. We can look forward to that.
Yeah, we're getting near the end of the tournament, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I think I need to speed up this part of the bracket a little more. So I should probably start scheduling races faster.
Yeah. So we are waiting on. So you have Red Kitsune is waiting for you, and then Chex Human is already waiting for the winner of that series.
Yeah, to be fair, it was mostly me waiting on the Bell, the you versus Bell, that whole matchup, and then this part of the bracket's been slower.
Yep.
So it's partially my bad. Sorry.
So, any last thoughts about the race overall for you guys?
I mean, honestly, since I only started playing Link to the Past like 2 months ago, just in general.
Oh, yeah.
I'm happy I at least got this far.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. So, question for you, Bread-Kun: do you know how sword damage works on Armos?
Do you know? I vaguely started to remember that. Oh yeah, Master Sword does less.
Yeah. I thought maybe you were either tactically using spins or you realized partway through the fight, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. All right, so good game, and thank you for your participation in the tournament, Bread-Kun. You're learning very fast. Know plenty of things that I don't. So, good game to you. Good game to MrByer. Congratulations on moving on. And I believe that will be it for us this afternoon. Again, the next No Logic match I know of is on Sunday. I don't know what time it is offhand. And then on SpeedGaming, I'm not sure the SpeedGaming schedule, but I'm sure it will come up as soon as we complete this race. So, good game to both players. Thank you, Tam216, for tracking. And that will be it for us, I think. Have a good day.